Good morning. Good morning. It's Jillian, and there is Sugar. She says hello in her usual place, relaxing. So, yeah, they say that in men, they don't grow up till after 43. And then I'm like, what am I? I'm 46 in February. And when did I really grow up? Well, I really started just caring about certain things in my 30s, like my credit and all that stuff, and wanted to really grow up. Like I was doing all my stuff in my 20s and my 30s. I started really just exploring actually growing up, and then wanting to find some kind of like long-term job because I wasn't going through like the college route really. And then in my 40s is really when I just started really understanding everything and taking part in all the different thought processes out there. And so it's like now with understanding Jilly Juice, like really understanding Jilly Juice and doing it and seeing the difference in my body, mind, and spirit. I mean, it changes your politics. It really does. I mean, it's going to change your perspective on the world. It's going to change your perspective on your coworkers, on your job, on your family. You'll start cutting the fat. You'll start making necessary changes because you want to see a difference in your life. And I grew up in a very Democrat feminist household. I mean, that's where I grew up. I grew up in Silicon Valley, California, which is, yeah, the home of innovation as far as biotech and technology, but it is a bubble. You know, some people get stuck in that bubble and they die in that bubble. And I refused to die in that bubble because I wasn't making it like everybody else was. I wasn't at some Ivy League college like Stanford or Berkeley, though I really did want to be in it, but I didn't have what it took back then to get in. And so that was the reality that I had to face. So, you know, I went into the military, did a bunch of stuff. So, you know, I explored the world to see really where I fit in. But yeah, I grew up in a Democrat household where, you know, my family was in biotech. My mom is in like social services with a law degree and working with, you know, nonprofits and billing the state, working with people who have disabilities, who have been, you know, domestic violence, who have been molested. I mean, she worked with the most holy crap types of situations. And so, yeah, it stands to reason why I came from a Democrat background, like a liberal background. But I couldn't survive in that world. There was no way I could survive in that. For whatever reason, I couldn't survive in that world, and as far as California. And so I left that world and then subsequently started Jilly Juice after exploring so many different thought processes. But now I am taking on, now it's like, and then I started getting into the independents. I got away from the Democrats and got into the independent movement and did the cold calling of back in the recall election when Gray Davis was being recalled for selling California down the river to the energy companies. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger came in. And then after that, I didn't follow too much because I was busy trying to get my career figured out as far as the insurance industry. And so then I realized there wasn't a difference between, you know, the independents and Democrat, Republican. Independents are just an offshoot. But I really couldn't articulate why independents weren't offshoot, because they still had the same belief system. They still had the same perceptions of foreign policy and geopolitics, and social programs and racism and feminism and all these isms. And so I'm like, well, where's the difference? You're just, you say you're independent, but you lean on these characteristics that represent Republican or Democrat. What's a Republican? Someone that is more into the capitalism. And where does capitalism come from? People who are able-bodied, people who actually can contribute, people who are innovative, that invent something, and they want to see some kind of compensation for what they put out there. That's what capitalism is that you have put forth effort and you're now getting a return on your investment. Socialism is where it doesn't matter what kind of effort. As long as you give the minimum, you'll still get paid the same. And so then you start, then I guess now you're looking at San Francisco, which is a very Democrat run, like Pelosi. I mean, you already see it. She runs that place, and look, that place is going to shit. And then maybe you look at all the different areas that are run by Republicans, and it's about, able-bodied, it's like merit-based programs type of thing. I mean, I guess that's also in the education system, merit-based pay. Like if you get your kids to get this certain level of percentage as far as testing, then you will get paid according to getting these kids through the programs. Well, that's no different than Republican. You put forth a major effort, you get back something in return. That's not going to be taken away by somebody that says, okay, I'm going to take most of what your energy and you're going to get like maybe a fraction of it. But you're going to always get a fraction of what you put out there because you live in a society that has infrastructure. You're going to have to pay taxes. But I really understand that now because because now I'm looking at the bigger picture. We have Obama and the whole thing with Obamacare and all that stuff, and everyone's all up in arms. And I got caught up in the conspiracy world, so it's all anti-Obama anyways. But I understand where both of these parties come from because they have to represent different aspects of you. Okay, not everyone's 100%. When you go through an adaptation process, you're going to go through a weak transition point. Okay, and so there are people that are going through some major adaptation processes and they're weak, and those are a representation of the Democrats when you think about it. And then of course all the programs that cater to the weaknesses of those that are going through an adaptation process. And then you have people who don't go through that major adaptation process, or they adapt so well that you can hardly see it, and they are still able-bodied. They come from money, yes, maybe they have connections and they have resources, and so they keep making money hand over fist. I gotta turn my heater off. Hold on. And so then also too, those that are in the Republican side, the capitalism and all of that, they're also paying attention to outside forces that want to do harm. And so then, then you're taking the money from the people who are disabled or have issues, or cutting down their budget, which you're seeing people going like, oh my God, they're taking away disability and all this other stuff to feed into the military programs. Because I guess there really isn't enough out there as far as taxes to take care of military and take care of your lack of ability people type of thing. Okay, so it's like either you put all your money into the social programs or you put all your money into foreign policy and military. Well, I mean, when you ignore the forces that are out there that are trying to destroy you, they build up, just like cancer, it builds up. And then you got to go and do chemotherapy, you got to go do cannabis, you got to throw all these different remedies at something because you let it build up. And I think that's what happens every 8 years, especially when we have societies out there that have been around for centuries that don't like the way we do things. And they have pulled every trick in the book. Thousands and thousands of years, they have pulled every trick in the book. And I just watched I just watched a YouTube video with Patrick Bet David, and he's an Iranian who came over here to America. He's raised here or born here. And he's given like a really brief synopsis on the history of Iran and USA. And Iran wasn't this conservative, wasn't this extreme. The Islamic Revolution happened in the 1970s, 1979. And they actually took on capitalist principles. They had a billionaire Shah way back when. And then people were going like, oh God, this guy has too much. Well, here's the thing. The Khomeini guy that was put in exile, he did this whole propaganda thing, just like you see on the internet with all of your YouTube videos from Alex Jones, the Obama deception, and Jesse Ventura. He made videos and he started really putting in some kind of propaganda against the current administration that was actually progressing that country forward. There was wealth in that country. People were able to dress the way they want. They had education, they had services. Yes, the guy was a billionaire, but hey, when you have a billionaire that doesn't always happen, but if you see the people are so successful and they look great, as well as the billionaire, you see most of the people looking great, then you know it's a relatively well-run society due by capitalism. But this Khomeini dude didn't like that, knew that people knew that a way to get in, you know, and plant seeds of destruction. And so he sent these videos out that, you know, that he made a video like a VHS, and then it got smuggled into Iran. And then people started watching it and they started going like, oh my God, just like you guys when you're watching these videos and you wake up, right? You're like, oh my God. And then then more people started watching those videos, and then he planted some kind of like fire and burned people up and then blamed it on the current administration. And so no different than this whole thing with the Ukrainian plane being shot down, you know, it was shot down by a missile, and was it accident or was it intentional? And then people try to blame Trump or blame, you know, and so no one's going to know but you. The seed's been planted. So these things these games have been played for fucking centuries, and America's so young. We don't know, and we keep recycling each other back and forth from 100 years. So every 100 years we keep reinventing the wheel. So we don't know the games have been played for thousands of years, and so we keep falling for this shit hook, line, and sinker. So now it's time, you guys, you've got to pay attention to why people are Democrat and why people are Republican and why Trump did what he had to do. We don't know if 9/11 was really an inside job. It could have been something like what happened with Khomeini, where he set up his administration for a fall. I mean, it speaks to the same, it's like come from the same script. You do something to a country and you blame it on somebody else. And of course, you don't know who's doing it, right? So you think your own government's doing it. You think it's all this conspiracy, your government's trying to kill you. But what kind of mileage would your government get killing their own population that's keeping them around? Okay? And then you have this whole thing with the New World Order and all this other stuff, which I'm not even going to get into. But I want you guys to start critically thinking about this stuff. There is all over as soon as the internet came about, and the YouTube and Facebook, the conspiracies and the hatred towards your own government has gotten, the drum beats against your own country have gotten louder and louder. And I did take part of it too. Believe me, I'm ashamed as hell. And so now Trump has inherited all of this shit. The stuff that happened with the Bush years, with 9/11, the stuff that happened with Obama. Nothing that Obama tried his best. He tried to give money and buy peace, but that bit him in the ass, whether he gave money or he unfroze the bank accounts, the money that belonged to Iran. But if Iran's going to be building bombs against your soil, it would be prudent you back your government to stop that from happening. It doesn't make sense for you to undermine your own country. So the whole thing with this Democrat and Republicans is Democrats, from what I've seen, are people who do have this softer spirit to those that are less fortunate, to those that don't have the ability or have the connections or have disabilities or whatever, or you're aged or you have all, Social Security and disability and all these different programs. And it's because of the fact that we are not getting to the root cause of our cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And so indicators of a nation really going down is how many people are Democrat and that want us to get out of these wars, because you're never going to get out of a war when you have imbalances in the population. So so you'll note an indicator of how well a government's doing is by the society, whether it's socialist or whether it's capitalist. Capitalism is based upon ability. And if you have lack of ability or inability, or you're coming from a very poor circumstance and you're acting out and you just don't have what it takes to actually make it in this world, you're going to cater to the Democrat side, because they're all about the government money going towards services, handouts and food stamps and welfare and all of that stuff. And if you have so many people pulling from the system that's not contributing, you don't think it's something's going to happen at some point? The system's going to fall. Look at San Francisco. They're being sucked dry by all the programs and the things that they had put in place. Look at all the Democrat-run cities, how how economically depressed they are because the citizens are not contributing at the level they should. No one's holding anybody accountable. I mean, I live in a Democrat-run city here in Ohio. I got people in my government here that are sympathizers to the people that don't like us. Okay? So it's not like I'm in a bubble away from the California politics. I have my own politics here, but there's enough people. I live in a community where there's more Second Amendment people. There's more people that still back the Constitution, that still back the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all of that, the amendments, and all of that. Because that is the doctrine that should hold both Democrats and Republicans together. But what happens is that people's biochemical imbalances trump what is the reason why you have America to begin with. It's like you've forgotten why you're here and why America exists to begin with. And there's so much propaganda on the internet, it's freaking insane. And so then your American values get lost and diluted with all of the propaganda, because we're only 300 million, and there's the huge Muslim population, there's a China population, there's a Russian population, there's the African population out there, and they all have their views on us, and they are trying to drown out your own government. So we have to be like in Israel. Israel's armed to the teeth because they're surrounded by people that want to kill them. And then, yes, we have anti-Semitism and all that stuff. So yeah, America has to be the strongest because they are being, they're being questioned by those that have been around for centuries. So, this all makes sense now. So what the whole point of Jilly Juice is to give you guys the ability so you're able to make money for yourself and make money for your government, who can then protect you. It all trickles down. If you're not contributing to the system and you're sucking the life out of the system, what does the system have to offer to you in return as far as protection and services in case you need it? But you shouldn't be living off these services indefinitely, just like you shouldn't be living off of pharmaceuticals indefinitely. You shouldn't be living off of holistic remedies indefinitely. It's only for like a little stay of execution. And then you become able-bodied so you can contribute. I mean, war is profitable. I will give you that. War is very profitable. And you have to stay alive. You have to stay alive to give somebody a reason to fight for you. Because if you die, then America dies. Because you're each a component of the American way. Assuming you still believe in American principles. So I wrote something. I probably should read this. Because I really kind of like woke up from this. Understand. Because I mean, let me tell you, I've been growing up a lot the last couple of years. And J Juice really gave me some mental clarity. It had me understand indicators in my own body and my society as well as my government. Because it's all connected. Nothing is ever, separate. It's like a revelation of revelation. And now I really understand the fabric of my society instead of following lockstep into what I was raised in. Because I was raised in a major left-wing household. I mean, I went to the pro-abortion rallies with Barbara Boxer. And I did shake her hand one time, got a picture with her one time. Okay, I was part of the National Organization for Women now. Okay, so I played the part, and I went to then the independents and all that. So I played all that part. I understand what it means to be Republican. Wow. Seriously, able-bodied people in body, mind, and spirit, for the most part, do subscribe to a more conservative approach. They don't want to give their money away to everybody. It means nothing left for their own family. And capitalism, which is a sign of potential wealth for those who work for it, and for those who are well enough and able-bodied enough. I feel bad for those that need a system and insurance and handouts, but an unsuccessful system is a system of people who don't put forth the effort or are not well enough to contribute to the system. So if you're not working and you're living off of disability or Social Security and all of that, it's like you're taking money from the system, but you're not giving anything to the system. So it's like you are sucking the teat. I really understand now the disparity between the Democrats and Republicans based upon what hormones are present, as well as the ability to produce. If you have limited ability to produce, or you're working in the field with the people who have limited abilities to produce, you will be more Democrat, especially if you're getting nonprofit money from government grants. So Democrats, for the most part, when you think about it, Democrats are either people that have really a limited ability and they want to be able to depend upon the government in such a huge way, as well as they depend upon government grants to give them money to help people who are limited in their ability to contribute. That's what the Democrat, really what it's based upon today. Now, it may have been different, 50, 60 years ago, but today that's the disparity between Democrat, Republican. Republicans are people who make money and they want to see a lot of it come back to them because they work their ass off. And my husband, here's the thing. So though I know it's not across the board, but I'm seeing the bigger picture now. I see why the Democrats cater to the nonprofits and why the Republicans are more profit-based. If anything should tell you the basis point of Democrats is looking at San Francisco today. When it was a long time ago, when I was there in the 2000s, in the 90s, it was a thriving metropolis. And now it's being run into the ground. Even though they have all that money out there, that money is not going to build up more infrastructure and more jobs. Republican-run cities are better run cities with people who are able-bodied contributing to the overall economy. My husband last night when we were talking, or yesterday, one of the two, it was last night. My husband really opened my eyes last night when he said he didn't care who came over, who comes to our country, as long as they work and they aren't leeching off the system, sucking it dry. Because he's like, all these people that don't like what Trump's doing, they're not doing anything, to help their country, really. They're just like, oh, God, you're taking away my this, you're taking away my that, and I don't want you to fight for this, I don't want you to fight for that. It's like, he's like, what the hell are these people thinking and doing? I mean, they're going up against their own government. They're sucking it dry, not contributing. Who the hell are these people? Put them out there in the desert with the Iranians and bring us, all the people from down south at the border who want to work, and let them come in and contribute to this nation. So in a lot of ways, he makes sense. If you're not contributing to your society, then what the hell are you? When you have these socialists that say, well, I want to live off grid and get away from this capitalist economy, someone's got to work for your freaking little off-grid commune. Not everyone's going to want to do washing their clothes on a rock on the side of the stream or live that primitively. You're going to want the modern conveniences and the protection from those that are imbalanced. So those that are looking for this utopian dream away from capitalism are not very able-bodied, and they're not living in reality. Okay? So Jilly Juice may turn you into more of a Republican if you're not in the social services field. And if you are in the social services field, I hope you plant seeds of hope that people can turn their life around. There's got to be a balance, though we can't be totally disparate as far as cutting off funds cold turkey. But at some point, people have to get off the teat of America. I mean, when you create a commune full of socialists, who's going to work for the wealth of that community and the modern convenience of that society? Both men and women are going to get tired of washing their clothes on a rock by a stream. And that's what these off-gridders are talking about. They want to bring us back to freaking the caveman days. And so when you're doing the Jilly Juice, you're going to understand you're going to be more Republican because now you're able-bodied, you're able to work, and you're seeing the bigger picture. You're seeing how imbalanced our society is, and it's not about rich and poor. Forget that. It's able-bodied versus not able-bodied. It's really bad background versus really good background. If you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you're going to blame somebody, and then you're going to want a handout because you think you deserve, you're entitled to live without really giving anything, putting forth any effort. And I'll tell you, that's what happens in childhood. When you're a child, you are entitled. So that's why kids are Democrats when they're younger, for the most part, unless they are really taught by some really strong father figure to instill a work ethic. And I was instilled a work ethic when I was younger. I was. But I still had idealist principles that, you know, we should give money to everybody, everyone should have everything, and no one should have to work for anything, blah, blah, blah. And then I was thrust out there in the real world, and I had to go and scrape for everything I had. My mother, you know, even though she's a Democrat, she was definitely a bootstrap Democrat. She was more of a conservative Democrat, but she was still Democrat because she worked in the social services field. Still working in the profit base as far as biotech, because biotech is profit-based, but people ask for it and they're not willing to do anything else but ask for the shortcuts. So yeah, it's going to be profit-based. So the indicators of how well your country is probably by how many Democrats are surrounding you as far as your city and your country. And so, yeah, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go vote for Trump. I'm going to. I'm not ashamed of being a Republican. And now I could actually back up why I'm a Republican. Not because I want to follow the crowd and follow whatever. Because I'm telling you, I was leaning on the whole thing with Warren and the student loan stuff and all of that, but the student loans will get figured out. Having someone pay off my student loans through you know, taxes isn't necessarily the answer either, okay? But it was a little tempting. I'll give you that. But I will go out there and I will vote for Trump. I will. And I won't be ashamed of it. Because first of all, we have people out there that want to hurt us. And I'm willing to work for what I get. I'm working right now as we speak. No, it's not a traditional job where I'm going in and you know, making widgets. But I am creating something that will give me a return on my investment at some point or someday, somehow, some way, whatever. And I am helping others to give themselves that ability to give themselves a return. Because what's going to happen is those of you that are not doing the Jilly Juice, you're going to end up being Democrat because you're going to want to have all your social services, you're going to want to have all your retirement and Social Security and all this stuff. You're gonna turn Democrat, and then that's going to then undermine your country because your lack of ability to contribute, because you're getting older. And when you're getting older, you're not contributing, which means you're sucking off the teat of America, which when you have like the baby boomers who are the biggest population, and they're the ones are going to be utilizing those services, they're going to turn into eventually Democrat. And so there's going to be that whole thing with balance. And so we need more people on the J Juice to be more able-bodied to help themselves and give them the life that they want, as well as their community. Because the more money you make, the more money your city makes from the taxes. Okay? So, you know, everything is connected. Your situation isn't isolated. You're not special. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean everyone should cater to you. Okay? It means that you are part of a bigger picture of people that are like you. And that does undermine. And so that's why the whole Jilly Juice is here saying, okay, you may have a disability or lack of ability or whatever. Now you can turn it around. It doesn't have to be your sentence, so to speak. You know, you're getting older. You don't have to get older and then eventually turn to the system to feed you. Because I'll tell you, $800 a month or $1,000 or $2,000. Well, $2,000 is pretty good. But some people are getting like maybe $1,300, $1,200 a month. Where the hell are you going to live on Social Security of $1,200 a month? Wouldn't you want to be able to be feeling great and feel like you're contributing to your community, and you go somewhere and you do a job that you love, and then you can go and buy things if you want, or go out to dinner, or go travel somewhere where hopefully that it'd be safe to travel, and you have the freedom of movement. You can drive a car because no one took your license away because of your disability. I mean, being able-bodied is the most freedom. When you start degrading with disabilities or aging, you lose your freedoms. And that's what you see out there, people who are crying about, oh, America, you're a slave, you're this, you're part of the corporate greed. They have lack of ability because they can't contribute, because they haven't figured out how to contribute to society because of their issues. And yeah, so those that have major health issues that are getting older as well are going to start turning against that system that which fed them for many, many years. It's a trip. It's a trip and a half. And so I don't want to ever be that person where I'm going to be bitching against my government for not giving me programs that I think I need. Okay? I want to be telemerically based upon 20, 30 years ago, between 30 and 40 years old forever, where I have the ability to make money for myself, to do whatever, take care of my responsibilities without needing some kind of assistance from the government. If I get into an accident because of somebody else, because I wasn't paying attention, which, you know, it could happen, but statistically, probably not. If you're very able-bodied, then there are services out there like the ER that will stabilize me. And then I come home and I drink Jilly Juice and I heal. And then that's it. And it'll be painful, but yes, because you went through a trauma of an accident of whatever damage, and then you heal, and then you're back to doing what you were doing before. Just like with these soldiers going out to war, you know, let them, you know, come back, do Jilly Juice, they get all healed up again, and they don't have to do that again. Somebody else will go and take their place and go to war, come back and heal up with Jilly Juice, and then they can have a great life. They've given their time. They don't have to keep recycling soldiers to heal from Jilly Juice and go back out there again and heal from Jilly Juice. I mean, that's what I was telling my husband last night. Like, oh my God, if the military knew the power of Jilly Juice, if they knew, they could do that, create that kind of, but at this point, humans right now in America and everywhere else have to not only heal from that current upset of homeostasis, those injuries from war, but also from years and years and years of predispositions. But at least now, you know, we have the ability to help the soldiers coming back from war, to purge out PTSD, to help with the limbs, help with the digits, to help with anything that has traumatized them overseas. We have that possibility, but to get this out there, oh, it's difficult. But with Jilly Juice, you'll see the bigger picture. Okay? And so really politics is all about ability versus lack of ability, and then where the hell the money's coming from and where it's going. Okay? And that's it. And then who is working and who is not. Who's sucking off the system and who is not. Everything else, all these social issues, all these issues are distraction from the bottom line. Are you contributing? Are you not? Who dictates where the money's going and why? And that's it. And then you've seen, you know, the criminality and the racism and the isms are all based upon manifestations of people looping from trauma, the hatred and all that stuff. So we're not going to solve this overnight, but that's what I'm saying. Those of you that understand seed Jilly Juice, do it and get that seed planted in your community. Okay? We're only about 3 years old. We're only about 3 years old. Going to be 4 in October. So it's incumbent upon you, do you guys just be that representation of Jilly Juice? Be that and exemplify it and speak out about it. Don't get, well, when you're strong enough, you'll be able to handle the backlash. But I'm telling you, body, mind, and spirit do not lie. When people see the actual difference in you in body, mind, and spirit, and they've seen you from a couple years ago, and now you're completely different, and you speak well, and you make sense, that will make a believer out of the people in your world. Not so much the strangers who don't know where you came from and what you went through, but the people in your world. And that's where it starts. Because remember, all this crap, Democrat, Republican, and all this isms and racism starts in the family. And then people reinforce each other's belief systems out there. Because they go to school, they find like-minded people with the same belief systems, and they commune together. And they are regurgitating the same thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So for you to make changes in America with the Jilly Juice, it starts in your family. Okay. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. Bye.